Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Mattel DC Comics Multiverse Batman Arkham Origins Bane. Not any Bane, oh no, not any Bane. We're having a look at the Arkham Origins Detective Mode Bane, which as you can see is the original released Bane in a slightly translucent blue color, and you've got a skeletal X-ray design to him, which I think is kind of cool. The package, or on the side of the package, we kind of see what detective mode kind of looks like on the character itself. Yes, unfortunately, the multiverse figures are pretty much gone and died. It means also, too, that if you want to pick up some of these, unless you get some of the harder ones to find, like the Nightfall Batman, most of these are pretty reasonable to find in aftermarket. So if you do like these, by all means, look online. You can probably find these for dirt cheap. It is highly detailed and authentic. The back of the package. Other figures available, there was the Joker and Arkham Knight, and as well a regular Batman. DC Comics Multiverse figures are inspired by comic-based, character-rich entertainment sources such as movies and video games. These figures are meticulously designed to be truly authentic, celebrating the many universes of entertaining DC Comics material. Real name for Bane is unknown. Special abilities, Master Assassin, incredible strength, and intelligence. There you go. And then other than that, well, what we got underneath there? www.mattycollector.com if you want to check that out. It's also dccomics.com as well, and www.mattelshop.com. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at Detective Mode Bane from Batman Arkham Origins. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Spot has to admit that he's actually pretty smitten by this particular figure. I think he's really awesome, all things considered. Yes, he is basically just a re-release of the existing or previously released Arkham Origins Bane, which really, in that argument, I actually like that figure a lot too. So what we get here is that same mold that's now being given a translucent blue treatment. It's not see-through completely, but it is a slightly translucent blue plastic. The back doesn't really show all that much, but of course when you start looking at it from the front, you get this skeletal X-ray scan of Bane. And it looks super cool. Let's have a look at his face, and we'll kind of work our way down. I guess its primary mold, or the mold that would have been, how the figure originally looked, is slightly masked by this paint that they've added over top of it. But again, I really like this figure. It kind of also reminds me, and not obviously the size of the figure, but kind of that skeletal look kind of reminds me of Batman Beyond's Blight. Of course, very different design, of course, but that same skeletal face kind of reminds me of it. I think it's very super, super cool. They've painted, and essentially what they've done is they've taken the primary mold of Bane and they've painted over the skull, of course the ribs, the arms, the lower torso, the legs, and all that. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool, all things considered. Even if you don't end up, or if you ever picked this figure up after the fact, this would be the kind of figure that would be really cool to put against, even if you mixed and matched, different toy properties. You could really mix this up with like a G.I. Joe or a Marvel Universe or anything. This guy could just be this really big menacing goon that just happens to be an X-ray. I think that would just be really, really cool. But displaying him, I just adore this figure. He's just so super, super cool. Coloring wise, again, there's not really much to be said for him. The lighter skeletal is depicted here in almost a bluish white. It is a very, very light blue. And again, the rest of his body is just more this blue plastic. When it comes to his posability, it's on par with what we saw before. Head motion back and forth, up and down via a ball joint that's connecting the neck to the head. Arms hinge out. And even when you move the arms inward, you can see how the bones start showing through in that translucent plastic. I think that's neat. The arms do have a hinge It doesn't appear, of course, that they have any sort of rotational hinge or anything like that. Just a simple bend in the elbow. He's got rotation in the hand, which also allows a slight pivot. I suppose some caution, because this is, of course, clear plastic or translucent plastic, that it doesn't tend to be as durable as other plastics. So this one hand right here, I would say be very careful. I don't see it just yet, but it does have potential that if you start putting handguns or weapons into his hand, that those fingers may potentially break down the road. Just a little FYI. He does have a rotation in the waist there. Legs move forward and back and out. He has a rotation right actually above the knee rather than mid-thigh where it tends to sit. A hinge in the knee itself, and he has no posability in the foot just because this is all one sculpted boot. Yes, Arkham Origins Detective Mode Bane, I quite like. He's fairly inexpensive as well, so if you guys are looking to pick this guy up now that, of course, loan tier, now that the Multiverse line is pretty much gone, you can probably find these still in stores and clearance aisles, or maybe you can find these in aftermarket outlets. But, if you get a chance, scope out some of these figures. Some of these figures actually have turned out pretty good. And I, for my own opinion here, quite like Arkham Origins Detective Mode Bane. I'm actually quite glad I picked him up. Today we're having a look at the Mattel Batman or DC Comics Multiverse. This was the Batman Arkham Origins Detective Mode Bane. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more toy spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.